Hey guys, welcome to my new channel. Welcome. Oops, camera's bugging out already. Okay, so welcome to my new channel, guys. All right, so I'm not gonna waste you guys' time. I'm gonna get right into it. Okay, um, so today I'm here to talk about this fraud that called herself Kamala Harris. That's the topic today. Okay, and from you guys already see the title of the video. We're going to get into that in a second. Okay, so for those of you who know me, hey, how y'all doing? For those of you who don't know me, I was born and raised in Jamaica. Okay, I didn't come to America when I was 2 years old, like a lot of people, or 5 years old. No, I was born and raised in Jamaica, went to school, the whole nine. Okay. So, uh, I think I'm qualified to speak on some of these issues, you know, concerning, who this woman is and whether or not she's so-called black. All right. So that's what we're going to get into today. All right. Yes, I was born and raised in Jamaica. Born and raised. Went all the way up to high school and trade school and stuff like that. All right. Um, so we're going to get into the fact that Kamala Harris is not black, or her father is not black. We're going to talk about that in a second. Okay. So let me just tell y'all a little bit about, for those of you who don't know much about the Jamaican culture and our people in Jamaica, let me say this. Black folks in Jamaica are no different than black folks here in America. All right. We're my people in Jamaica are just even more. I believe it. Sometimes I believe that we are even more lost than everybody else. Sometimes. Jamaican black folks, and when I say black Jamaican folks, the reason I'm saying black Jamaican is because we have a lot of different nations in Jamaica. Okay, it's not just black folks in Jamaica. We have a whole bunch of Chinese in Jamaica. We have a whole bunch of white folks in Jamaica. We have a whole bunch of Indian folks in Jamaica. All right. As a matter of fact, I grew up where I grew up in Jamaica. There's a place in Jamaica called Settlement. Okay, I'm from the parish of Clarendon. Okay, Jamaica has 14 parishes, just like America has 50 different states. We don't call it states in the Caribbean. We call them parishes because we get our independence from England, and England used the word parish, not state. Okay, so we have parishes in Jamaica, and we only have 14 of them, just like you guys have 50 states here. So I am from the parish of Clarendon. That's where I was born. Okay. And so in the parish of Clarendon, there's a place called Vere, Vere, right? And that's where I go to middle school. Okay. I went to a school in Clarendon called Salt Savannah Primary School. Okay. And right in that area, right there, is a place called Settlement. Okay, that's where my school is located at. And that place is called Settlement for a reason. That is where all of the East Indian settled after, I guess, the whole independence and all this other stuff happened in Jamaica, right? That community called Settlement is where the East Indians settled. All Indian. And I could tell you about this place. All right. When I was growing up and when I was going to school and I was, living in my community there, this particular community, it's a large community. They don't mix with anybody else. They're a community. They're just like you have Chinatown in America, where it's just Chinese, right? You have this place called Settlement, and it's all Indian. All East Indian, and they have preserved their culture there, from their food, the food they eat, from the way they dresses, from the way they speak. Everything has been preserved. These people have preserved their culture. They don't dress, most of them don't dress like the normal, the normal population of Jamaica. They still wear their Indian garb, women wear their Indian dresses, especially when they're going to weddings and whatnot. You'll see, you guys know how Indian people dress. They have the veil, the scarves and or whatever you call it. They still preserve their culture to this day. I mean, I've had Indian friends back home. One of my very good friend was so-called half Indian. Her mom was Indian. So, I've had a couple of Indian recipe that they've cooked me. They still preserve their recipe to this day. There's one recipe called dal and ball. It's a curry recipe that is made with mango and some stuff like that. But anyway, so in this community called Settlement, this is an Indian community that has been preserved. And growing up, I just knew that there was something different between myself and people that look like me and those people, because they look nothing like us. Even though I was young, I didn't understand anything about cultures and stuff like that. But I just knew as a girl growing up in Jamaica that there was something different there's a huge difference between us and them and these people, just based on their culture and how they look. But the thing about Jamaicans is this. And I'm talking about Jamaican blacks. The thing about Jamaican blacks is they embrace and worship and love anything that looks remotely white. That's the thing with Jamaican black folks. Anything that looks remotely white, that doesn't look black, too niggerish, too Negro, they will worship it. They will worship it. They will put you on a pedestal. And that's why you have the epidemic of bleaching in Jamaica right now, because black folks love anything that does not look like themselves in Jamaica. Okay, so don't be surprised if you see the entire Caribbean community going out to vote for this woman called Kamala Harris or whatever she called herself. All right, because Jamaican people love everything that looks like somebody else. As long as you don't look like a regular old Negro, Jamaican people will worship you. They will. Okay. Now, let's get into this sister girl, Kamala, and the narrative that she is somewhat black. Okay, because that's the narrative that they're trying to push. That there's this woman is somewhat black. Her daddy was some black Jamaican a dude and whatnot. Her father, his name was Donald J. Harris. Let me show you guys what her father looked like. I don't know if, in case some of you guys don't know what her father looked like. Let me just share my screen. My computer is acting up, so I'm gonna have to do something else. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. 1 second. All right. Okay. I gotta do it the hard way. All right. So this here is Kamala Harris's father. That's him right there. Okay. And that's the type of man that we like to call the uppity person of Jamaica. They did the light skin uppity. This type of person here is not what we would consider a regular Jamaican Negro. He's not, because he's not. Okay, so that's him right there. That's him. That's him. That's a clearer picture of him right there. And from what I'm understanding, he's some businessman in Jamaica right now. He's out there on some board of whatever he is in the government sector in Jamaica. Okay. But that's what her father looked like. That's him right here. So we're gonna get into who this man's father is. All right, we're gonna get into that. Let me go back to my screen here. Let me go back to my screen. Okay, so we're going to get into who Donald J. Harris's father is, because that's her father's name. Kamala's father's name is Donald J. Harris. That's her father, right? And so Kamala's father, his daddy's name was Joseph Alexander Harris. That's his father's name. That's his daddy's name, okay? And who the hell was Joseph Alexander Harris? Who was this man? Who was this man? Well, Joseph Alexander Harris was a white man, a white businessman in Jamaica. Yeah. He passed away in 1939. 1939. Before 1939, Mr. Harris, Mr. Joseph Alexander Harris, we're trying to figure out to this point whether he came from Ireland or if he came from England. He came from one of those two places. We're still trying to figure it out, okay? Because the name Harris is an English name, but it's also popular in Ireland. And we know that he is from one of those two places, okay? So Kamala Harris's father's father, who is Joseph Alexander Harris, he was a landowner in Jamaica. So he owned property there. All right. I'm going to explain to you guys why this is important. Why this is important. Okay. He was also an agricultural produce exporter. He was an exporter. Okay. So he was a big businessman. He was wealthy back in the Caribbean. So now, why is this important? Why is this important? Back in 1920s and 30s, back in the 1920s and 30s, Black folks in Jamaica was pretty much still slaves. They were still on plantation, chopping down sugar cane and bananas and putting bananas on the banana boat. Okay. We weren't big landowners and businessmen and wealthy businessmen back in the listen, Jamaica we got our independent in 1962. When was it? August 6th, 1962 was when Jamaica got their independence. 1962. So Kamala Harris's grandfather passed away in 1939, which was almost 30 years before Jamaica got their independence. Now you guys see where I'm going with this, right? Just like America got their independence, when America got their independence, slavery was not abolished until what? Almost 100 years later, right? Almost 100 years later. Your foreparents here in America wasn't even considered to be a human being almost 100 years after America got their independence. So you guys see, you guys understand what I'm trying to say. This man, who was a wealthy businessman back in the 1920s and 1930s, Jamaica didn't even get their independence yet until 1962. Okay, so this was a wealthy white businessman. Our people in Jamaica was still pretty much plantation workers, chopping down sugarcane in the hot 100-degree weather, hot sun, chopping down bananas and sugarcane and picking all kind of fruits and whatnot for the goddamn plantation owners out there. You know what I mean? Yeah, pretty much. So Joseph Alexander Harris, back in the 1920s and 30s, was a wealthy businessman. He was a landowner. He owned land, huge properties. He was an agricultural produce exporter. There was no black man back in that time doing it that big or doing anything at all. They were all on plantation. Okay, you hardly find a black person in that era, in that time, That was a time when black folks was fighting for their freedom and fighting to get a piece of the pie. You know what I'm saying? Back in 1938, I believe, somewhere there, back in the late 30s, there was a uprising in Jamaica. You know, just people just fighting to get some type of rights. You know, back in that time, we didn't have any rights. We didn't have any land. We weren't no land owner and big businessman and big exporter. And who are we exporting to? We didn't have any connection outside of Jamaica exporting anything. This was all. Let me tell you something. Back in those times, everything was up for grabs in Jamaica. Okay, you have the Irish. There's a lot of, by the way, there's a lot of Irish in Jamaica. There's a lot of descendants of Irish in Jamaica. Okay, in places like, I believe, Mandeville or Manchester, or you know, those places. There's a lot of Irish in Jamaica. There's descendants of these slave masters who are still there to this day. Okay, back in that time, there was businessmen from all over just trying to come in and grab a piece of the pie, because Jamaica has a lot of resources, okay? Especially in that time. Jamaica had, you guys know that Jamaica had gold there. There were gold in Jamaica, okay? Jamaica had a lot of resources, all right? A lot of natural resources. You have pimento, you have coffee, you have cocoa, you had bauxite. So you guys don't know that I'm talking about natural resources coming from the earth that they use to make cement, okay? They still have it there to this day. Natural resources that comes from the earth that they use to make cement and to make cement blocks and stuff like that. And lots of other natural resources that are in Jamaica. And back in that time, back in the 1920s and 30s, whatever, there were wealthy white businessmen who were coming down there just to grab a piece of the pie. You know what I'm saying? And so that's who Kamala Harris's grandfather was. He was one of those businessmen who came to Jamaica and got a piece of the pie, pretty much. And he made a good living off of it there until he passed away back in 1939. And so he passed away 1 year after Kamala Harris's father was born. Okay, so the child was only 1 year old when his father passed away. So Kamala Harris's father, who was Donald J. Harris, he didn't really know his daddy because his dad died 1 year after he was born. Okay, so his daddy was white. Okay, so clearly he was a white kid in Jamaica. All right. I don't know, his mom was Negro or some type of mixture of something, not sure. Okay, but this whole narrative about Kamala is black or somewhat black or have some black in her. Here's the deal. Okay, Kamala Harris's mother was an East Indian woman. I don't know if I think she's still alive. Yeah, she's still alive. Kamala Harris's mother is an East Indian woman and her father is a white man. Okay, his father was a white man, a white businessman in Jamaica, all right, which makes him white, okay? So white daddy, Indian mommy. There's nothing black about Kamala Harris, okay? There's nothing black about that fraud, pretending to, oh, Cardi B and dancing on camera and all this old nonsense, okay? This woman is not black, okay? She's a mixture of her white daddy and her Indian mommy. That's all it is. Okay. I did a little bit of digging, and this Joseph Alexander Harris person was so popular, his name popped up in the Jamaican Gleaner. The Jamaican Gleaner is a newspaper, a long-running newspaper in Jamaica. For decades. Okay, so I did some digging and this man's name popped up in the Jamaican newspaper so many times. His obituary was even in the newspaper when he died in 1939. But I dug and I found his name in 1936. 1936. His name was all over the newspaper. His name was in the newspaper. 1936. I did some digging, and his name kept popping up in the newspaper. And for those of you who know, who don't know, these people was from a place called Brownstown in St. Anne's. Okay, St. Anne is one of the parishes of Jamaica. Okay, one of the 14 parishes. That's St. Anne, and there's a place in St. Anne's called Brownstown. All right, and so that's where Kamala's grandfather settled when he migrated to Jamaica to grab himself a piece of that pie. That's where he settled. And he was exporting spices in Jamaica, pimento and stuff like that. The Caribbean are a land of spices, man, especially Grenada. Grenada is known for its spices. Okay. So anyway, so that's mainly what this man was exporting. He was exporting spices in the Caribbean. All right. And, yeah, so St. Anne was where he settled, okay? And if y'all did your little research, you would know a lot of this stuff, okay? On a yard people, You see, on a love claim people, everybody just like to claim all the time, okay? Everybody is not one of us. Everyone is not one of us, okay? And I'm not going to claim some fraud if she don't belong in our community, because listen, this woman doesn't even consider herself black. She doesn't consider herself black because she knows she's not black. She knows it. And if you did your research, then you would know it as well. And I'm not claiming her. She's a mixture of everything else but black. She's not black. Okay. Back in the 30s, our people, when I say our people, I'm talking about black folks in Jamaica. Back in the 30s, we were still fighting to live, to survive. While the white man and everybody else, they had their hand in the pie, and we didn't have no tangibles. There was nothing being given to us. We were fighting just like you see people here in the United States, just fighting every day, trying to get a little piece of the pie and can't get nothing. That's what we were doing back in the 1920s and 30s. We didn't have shit. Look at Norman Manley, Sir Alexander Bustamante, huh? All those people were white folks, and they were the so-called prime minister of Jamaica. Why? Because black folks just uplift everybody that doesn't look like them. To this day, we worship these people. Okay, I think Norma, what's his name? One of these dudes is still alive down there in Trenchtown, still alive. And when you go around there, you see he's surrounded by black men with guns protecting him. This white man in Jamaica. Yeah, I went there. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. This white man just sitting there in one of the most impoverished part of Jamaica, and he is surrounded and protected by black folks, a whole bunch of black men, right? Yeah. And so that's how we uplift and love and worship everybody else that doesn't look like us. And that's why we're going to be running out there voting for this fraud calling herself Kamala Harris. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This woman father is not black. He's white. His daddy was white. Okay. His daddy was white and a wealthy businessman. There's no way a black man in 1920 and 1930 was any huge landowner and an exporter. Okay, because Jamaica didn't get independence until 1962. So there's no way a black man at that time was, having a thriving, booming, a wealthy business person. Hell no. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling, guys. So that's what I wanted to come on here and show you guys. We need to get rid of this narrative about this woman being some, stop associating her name with black. She's not black, and she herself doesn't even consider herself black. She's never told you that she's black. Well, now that she wants your vote, she's, doing the little jig and the little hip hop dance. Okay. She ain't black. And she knows she's not black. And listen, When was the last time this woman talked about her father? Seriously. Every article I see, she's talking about her mother, her Indian mother, and everything about her Indian this and her Indian that. Everything is Indian. She hardly ever talk about her father. I don't know why, because he's not black, so she can talk about him, but because he's from Jamaica and people, I guess, uplift him as being a black person, even though clearly he isn't. He speak the language and he act black. It's no different than Bob Marley. Bob Marley wasn't a black dude. His daddy was a white man. There's a lot of people in Jamaica who are not black, but again, because we hate ourselves so much, we just embrace them. We embrace them. And they're the one with the big jobs, with the big company, with everything in Jamaica. And we're the one who's out there bleaching our skin, right? So we can look light and so we can get into the door and so they can throw us a bone. Do you guys realize what's really going on in Jamaica? You got the light-skinned people in Jamaica, right? They have everything. They own everything, right? Then you got the dark-skinned people who's bleaching themselves, trying to look light so they can get a piece of the pie. It's terrible. It's sad. It's sad. So we're going to embrace this woman like she's one of us, and she's not. I'm here to tell you guys, Jamaican born and raised, okay? I'm not embracing this woman because she's not one of us. She's not. She's not one of us. She's not at all. Her daddy is a white man. Her mother is an East Indian woman. She doesn't understand anything about the black culture. She doesn't understand anything about the Jamaican culture, okay? She knows nothing about the Jamaican culture. Everything, her mom raised her on the Indian culture. Everything she knows is Indian, okay? And as a matter of fact, her parents separated when she was only 7 years old. Her mom and dad separated when Kamala was only 7 years old, okay? And she went, I believe, to Canada to live with her mother. So she knows nothing about Jamaican culture, nothing. All right, she hardly know anything about her father and his so-called culture, which is fake because her father is white, because his father was a goddamn Englishman or some type of Irish man. All right, so this whole thing about her being somewhat black or half black or a piece of black or some bullshit ass black is nonsense. All right, and I don't want to hear anything else about this goddamn fake ass Jamaican, half Jamaican, or maybe Jamaican lady. She's not. She's not. And y'all need to stop embracing her. Okay, it's not cute. It's not cute. She's not one of us. I'm saying it. And I was born and raised in Jamaica. She's not one of us. She's not one of us. She don't get to waltz in here just because, y'all Jamaican folks worship light-skinned folks with straight hair. It's not one of us. Okay. Anyway, let me stop rambling. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Okay. Bye.